Okay, today's daf is Masech the Sanhedrin Daf Mem Dalet number 44, and we're going to start from Mem Gimel Amid Beis, uh, a little bit from the bottom. Hold on a second. This is Mem Dalet, Mem Gimel Amid Beis, Rapapa Amma. Okay, so it's on your screen here. Rapapa Amma, 5 lines from the bottom. So we said yesterday that one of the points is that the house that where they execute, I guess they kill the guy who's Chayiv Skila was outside the city. In other words, let's say imagine Jerusalem. So it was not in the base of Mikdash, or it was not on the Har HaBayis. It was not in Jerusalem. The place where they take the guy who's Chayiv Skila, they throw him off a roof, and then they stone him, was outside Jerusalem. And the point of that, as you can see, is very important, is that once you have time from the time that they convict him, they want a little bit of time till you kill him. It should be like, let's say, a half-hour walk, so that we give time to people to come forth and say maybe he's innocent. Again, we never want to kill. So Rav Papa said like this. Where do you see that in the Chumash? That it has to be outside the city. So the Torah tells us the story about the Mekalel, the person that cursed Hashem in the Chumash. And Moshe said, take him out and kill him. So Moshe Hecha Hava Yosef. Where did Moshe sit? B'machna Levia. Moshe was in the on the Har HaBayis, let's say. Moshe was in his Levi camp. V'amalei Rachmana, and the Chumash says, Hoitze es Mekalel mechutz lamachna. Take the guy that cursed God outside the camp. Chutz l'machna Levia. You take him out of the Levi camp, which is where Moshe was. The pasuk continues. They took the cursor outside the camp. Chutz l'machne Yisrael. They took him out of Machne Yisrael. In other words, they took him out of the city of Jerusalem. Let's say Machne Yisrael is where the Jewish people lived, and they took him out further. And that's exactly where they stoned him. So it's not in the city, so to speak. It's outside the walls of the city. Says the Gemara, that teaches you that they followed what Moshe's directions were. What is that? That's just a storyline. The Chumash, that's not extra. And says the Gemara, Asiya behed yiksiva, that the Chumash, that they followed Moshe's direct commandments of taking the person that cursed Hashem to death. That is another pasuk that says, we go to Mem Daled Amud Aleph. Pasuk says, Uvnei Yisrael asu Ben Gimel, V'nei Yisrael asu. I'm sorry, today's Ben Gimel. V'nei Yisrael asu kashatziva Hashem es Moshe. The Jewish people did what Moshe commanded. So therefore, that pasuk is extra, that they took the Mekalel outside the camp, because the pasuk says they did what Moshe said. So that teaches you they took him out of two camps, Machne Levia, and they took him out of Machne Yisrael. Elamiyata, says the Gemara, if you're darshaning every pasuk, every word of the story. Hi, we're on Mem Gimel Amid Aleph, and we're up to the second line. Vayirgemu oisei ovim. The Chumash says that they stoned the guy, the guy that cursed Hashem. They stoned him with one stone. My avdilay. What does that pasuk teach you? I mean, Moshe said stone him, and the pasuk has to repeat that they stoned him. So that teaches you a halacha regarding stoning somebody. We need it like what the Brisa teaches us. They stoned the man with a stone. They stoned him, his naked body. He was not allowed to wear clothing. In other words, they took the guy naked on top of a 2-floor building. They threw him down, and then they threw one stone on him. And why was he without clothing? Because we want him to die as fast as possible. And if the clothing protect him, he might still remain alive. We want the misa to happen, the death to happen as quickly as possible. Says the Gemara, Evan, why did they throw one stone? She'im meis be'evan achas yotzer. That teaches you that if that one stone killed him, that's it. They don't have to throw more stones. But then another place in the Chumash, it says that they took stones, plural, and they stoned the guy that was Mechal Shabbos. V'itzrach l'michtav even, v'itzrach l'michtav avonim. The Torah tells you sometimes they stoned with one stone, and in another area, the Torah tells you they stoned with many stones. The Ikas Rachmona even, if the Torah would have written that they stoned with one stone, Havamina, I would have think that skila is that it's a like a luck thing. You throw one stone on the guy. If he doesn't die, that's it. He's safe. If he didn't die with one stone, we'll not bring another stone to kill him. The Torah tells you many stones. You keep throwing stones until he dies. If the Torah would have said many stones, when you stone a guy, you stone him with many stones. Havamina would have thought mikora naisi tarte, because that from the very beginning you're always supposed to throw many stones. Kasa rachmona oven. So that's why the Torah wrote stone. In other words, this is how you stone somebody. After you throw him off that 2-floor building, you throw one stone on him, probably a heavy stone, towards his heart. If he doesn't die, then you throw other stones, but you don't throw 2 stones at the first shot. So that's how you know that you take him, that the Beis Haskila, the place where the stoning, the place where you stoned the person, was really outside the city, outside where the Jews lived. Says the Gemara, that's Rav Papa's opinion. Says the Gemara, V'haitan and Ne'ama kama. But we had a brisa before that brought a Gzeira Shava, that you compare the Makalel to Param HaNisrafim, which was outside the city, that you burn the cows outside the city. It was a Gzeira Shava. So what do I need Papa's pasuk? So the Gemara says, Ilu lo nema kama. V'hachi kama. Ilu lo nema kra, Yisayim Gzeira Shava. Achrush nema kra, Gzeira Shava lo yitzarach. The brisa is, don't take the brisa so seriously. The brisa is saying that if I did not have Papa's pasuk, I could have some sort of limud through a Gzeira Shava. That you have to, that the Beis Haskila, the place where you stone him, is outside the 3 camps. But really, that Gzeir Shava, that brisa is not so serious. What Rapapa's explanation of the psukim, that's the most serious. That's what we take seriously, and in that respect, that's what the limud is. That they actually took. Moshe Rabbeinu said, you take the guy. The guy that cursed the Eibishter, you take him out of the 3 camps. Rav Ashi says, I have it another source. Moshe was in the 2nd camp. The Torah says, Hoitzi es hamakalel. Take him out. Chutz l'machna. You bring him outside to machna leviyah. El michutz l'machna, and Moshe repeated, take him outside the camp. Chutz l'machna Yisrael. So just from the words of Moshe alone, I know that they brought the guy outside of the 3rd camp. So Vayatzio, now the pasuk continues, Vayatzio esamakal, they took the guy who cursed Hashem, and they took him outside the camp, la'asiyah. That just shows that they followed Moshe's directions. Frag the Gemara, what do I need that pasuk? Asiya behedzik sibuhu uvnei Yisrael also k'shivas Hashem as Moshe. The Jewish people did what Moshe commanded. So this pasuk that they said that they took the guy that cursed the Eibishter outside the camp, that's extra pasuk, because the way Rav Ashi learns that just from Hoitzias Makalel El Michutz LaMachne, you learn 2 things. You learn they took him out of Machne Leviyah, and you took him out of Machne Yisrael. So then this pasuk Vayetzias Makalel becomes extra. Answers the Gemara, Ahu mibayale chad lesmicha v'chad letchiyad. That pasuk teaches you, Vayetzias Makalel El Michutz LaMachne, which is counted as 2. That teaches you two things. Number one, that before you stone somebody, you put his hand on the Bezdin, puts their hand on his head, and the Eidim says, you're at fault here. It's not my problem that we're killing you, because you did this Avera. And Chad L'Tchiyah means that they push him off, because if you just learn the Psukim, you would think you just throw him on the floor and stone him. But the L'Tchiyah means you have to push him off a 2-floor house. So that's what you learn from that pasuk. So therefore, the way Rav Ashi learns, whenever it says Vayotziu el michutz lamachne, means Vayotziu teaches you one camp, michutz lamachne teaches you another camp. So Amalei Rabban Rav Ashi dididach kol hani hoitzi d'ksiva par nesrofim ma'idrosh tebei. Every time it says hoitzi el michutz lamachne by par Mashiach, par Helam Davish Tzibor, or by the Hitzoi Sadeshen, it says Hoitzi and Mechutz L'Machne. It means that you take him out of 2 camps. So then you have 6 camps going out. What are you going to darshan with all that? Kashi, the Gemara remains by a question. Okay, let's move on to the next sugya. The Mishnah said, and this is very important, that that remember, if you remember, let's remind you the Mishnah. Mishnah says that when they convicted somebody, he left with two big burly guys, and they took the guy to the Beis Haskila to make him die. Now to kill him. But from the house, in the house of the Besdin, there was a guy standing there with a flag, and there was a guy on a horse at a distance away. Should somebody walk into Besdin, they would make an announcement. Anybody who wants to say something about this case should come now and say maybe the guy's innocent. And if somebody came to Besdin and said, "Hey, I think he's innocent," they would wave the flag. The guy on the horse would start chasing after the convicted person and bring him back to the court. Hey, something it's almost like the governor calling in before you kill somebody on death row. So that was the communication. So the Mishnah describes the communications between the guy in Besdin to the guy on the horse who's going to chase after the person that is on his way to get killed by the two burly guys who kill him. Amar Rav Huna said, Pishitali, it was simple to me that who pays for that horse? Who pay? The question is, who's going to pay for all this? Echid Evan Shniskabal. The stone that we're going to stone this guy with is paid by the court. The Echid H Shnitlba. Who pays for the? It's unbelievable. The tree that you're going to hang somebody. Let's say he's chayiv hang some. You're supposed to hang his body after he dies. The Echid Chayiv Shnergboy, or the knife that you're going to kill him with. The Echid Sudish Nechneboy, or the piece of clothing that you're going to choke him with. Who pays for all these killing machines? Kula Mishal Tzibor. Obviously, that comes from the Tzibor. That's part of the court. That you pay, the taxes cover that, the electric chair. My timer, because it doesn't make sense that the victim, the guy that's being killed, should pay for himself. We don't say that he should be the one to pay for his own death. So the cost of him being killed is paid for by the tzibor, by the community. Lahavdil, the Germans would, in the beginning of the war, they would, kill somebody and burn him and send the ashes to the family and with a bill attached that they have to pay. Okay, so the Gemara says, Boya Rav Huna says, Sudish shemenifim boy v'sut sherotz umamidam mishalmihu. Who paid for that, flag or the horse that was, running after the guy to bring him back? Who should pay for that? Kavan dahatzolididehu, since we're trying to save the convicted man, mididehu, that it's from him. Oidilma, or maybe Kavan the Medina Mechayven Lemei, since the Besdin is supposed to try to save the guy, it says the Besdin is supposed to be skewed towards saving the guy. Mididhu Besdin supposed to pay for it. So maybe it comes from the Tzibor. Vesu, another question. Hada Amar Rav Chia Barashi, Amar Rav Chizda. Rav Chia Barashi said in the name of Rav Chizda, Hayoytze lehorik, somebody who's on his way to be killed by Besdin. It's very interesting. They put a drug into a little bit of wine, so to make his mind at ease, so that way he'll die quicker. Shenama, the pasuk says, that somebody who's about to be killed, we're supposed to give him wine. The Tanya, we learned in the Brisa, when the tzibur didn't pay for it, some women, rich women in Jerusalem, they would bring these drugs to the person that we were going to kill. If the woman didn't pay for it, then the tzibur pays for it. Pasuk says, since the Chumash says you should give it, it means that tzibur pays for that. So the Gemara remains by that question. The question is, and the Gemara doesn't answer it. Most things are paid on the tzibur, the community pays for that. But what about the flag and the horse to chase after him in case somebody comes in and says, hey, you might be innocent, maybe we'll bill the condemned man to pay for that. Rav Acha bar Rav Huna asked the question for Rav Sheshes. Let's say some of the people in the crowd who is, let's say, on deck, he was an intern, and he says, I raises his hand and says, I have a way to make the man innocent. So we invite him on the Besdin. But what happened if he became silenced? In other words, he died. So we don't know. Perhaps when he would have said what his idea was to make him innocent, the rest of the court would have listened to him. So now do we abolish the court since maybe he had what to say? And therefore we should restart the trial with new dayanim. Mahu, what should be the din? Menapeach Rav Sheshach bidei. Rav Sheshach made with his hand like this. He waved his hand. If he didn't say what his reason is, so then we don't concern ourselves about that, because maybe there's somebody at the end of the world who has a way to make the guy innocent, but he's not here. So the same thing. If the guy didn't express why the person's innocent, he died right before he had what to say, then we won't take him into account. So the Gemara says, "Hasam like kama," but that's not true. A guy in the other end of the world never, is ted to Bezrin that he didn't say anything. Hacha kamar. Here, the person started to say, "Hey, I think he's innocent," and then when he about to say something, he died. Maybe we take into account what he was trying to say. So the Gemara says, what will be the din? Tashmad, Abarabasi, Berebi, Sebechinina, Echad, Minatamina, Shazika, Vameis, Roy, Nice, Kilu, Chai, Oimid, Bim, Koimoi. If one of the students say he's innocent, and then he died and he gave a reason, that then we count his vote. Zika N, only if he said innocent and provided a reason. Loy Zika Loy. Maybe if he didn't say he's innocent and didn't provide the reason, we will not count him. Answers the Gemara, Zika Pshitale. Of course, if he said he's innocent and gave a reason, we'll count him. Amar Tibailach, if he said he's going to say he's innocent, but didn't give the reason yet, that's our question. The question is, do we assume that he had what to say and a substantial thing, and maybe the guy's innocent, so we should, we should abolish the case and restart it again. So we leave that as unresolved. The Mishnah said, even if the victim on his way to be killed, he says, I have a way that I'm innocent. So we say that only if he has something substantial to say do we bring him back. Even the first two times, or the Tanya we learned in the Braisa, the first two times that we bring the guy back, if even whatever he says, even if he has no substantial reason why he's innocent, we return him back to the Bezdin. Only from the second time and on, then only if he has a reason why he's innocent, and he provides a good reason, then we return him back. But if he doesn't provide a good reason, we don't return him back. So what do we see from here? That we don't bring him back only from the second time and on, if he has no reason, if he has a reason, not from the first two times. The Mishnah seems to imply that even the first two times that we bring him back, it's because he said a substantial reason. You're right. A Mishnah, you have to read it that only after the first two times, then we ask him, what's your reason? But the first two times he says, I want to go back, we just send him back. So how do we know from the second time and on, how do we know there's substantial in his reason? Obviously, when he was going, two big guys were schlepping him to the base of Skila. So how did we know that he has what to say that we should bring him back? Omar Abaya, the Masrina Lezuga Rabban. There was two students, rabbis, that accompanied him to the base of Skila. And they'll tell us, and they'll decide if he has substantial, they'll bring him back. Eloi loy. So the first two times, we just take the two guys that bring him to the base of Skila, which could be anybody. We don't require them to be Talmidei Chachamim. Says the Gemara, "V'limsa leimi ikara." Why don't we give two Talmidei Chachamim from the very beginning that they should be the one to bring him to Bezdin, to bring him to the base of Skila to decide if he has something substantial? Why do we wait to the third time and the fourth time? So answers the Gemara, Agav dibis loy matzi amakomand isle. The guy is about to be killed. So when he says, I want to go back, could be, if we start testing him, what's your reason? He's going to be so lost for words, he's not going to be able to express himself. So no matter what, so let's repeat. A guy is being brought to be killed. If he says, I want to go back, I think I'm innocent, we bring him back. After the first time, the second time. By the third time, if he says, only if he has a good reason, then we bring it back, or the fourth time. And he has to provide the reason. And how do we know he's giving a good reason? Because by the third time and the fourth time, the ones that accompanying him to the Beis Haskila are really smart Talmidei Chachamim, and they'll tell us if he has what to say. So, let's say they brought him back to Besdin and they found him again. Maybe he's right. According to this appeal, they found him innocent. Patru, they sent him home. Then Lav, then he goes to be killed. The Krois Yaitzin Lefonov, and they make an announcement. Ish, before he gets killed, before they take him out, by the way, from Bezdin, they mounts, Ish Pliny ben Pliny Yaitzin Yisakal. We're going to stone this man. Al Sha'ava Avera Plainis, because he did this Avera. Let's say he was Michal Shabbos. Upliny Belim Edav, and these are his witnesses. Call me Shiadeh Loizchus. Anybody who thinks he's innocent, Yavav Vilamet Olav. Let him come and come to Bezdin and teach us. Maybe he's innocent. We're about to kill him. Amar Abaya says, beyond they also have to say when the event happened, what hour, what day, what place. Maybe the people will know when they hear the exact time, they'll say, oh, the Edom are testifying falsely. And therefore, they'll come to Bezdin right away and say, hey, you're relying on these witnesses? They were with us. So this Gemara was censored by the censors because it talks about Jesus. And basically, what the Gemara is going to discuss over here, they make this announcement and then they kill him. The Kuruz Yaitzilefonov in Mikarolai. They don't make this announcement for a few days and then they kill him. They make this announcement, and if in 5 minutes nobody comes, they go out and they kill the guy. Says the Gemara, Vatanya, we learned in the Brisa, this was cut out in the original Gemaras. Maybe you don't have it in your Gemara, but I have it in mine. Vatanya, we learned in the Brisa, the Erev Pesach, Tuluhu Liyeshu HaNoitzri. Erev Pesach, they killed, we'll call him Oisei Ish, Jesus. The Akruz Yotzelefonov are Boim Yoim. Here's the point. They had this announcement. For 40 days, they were announcing, we're about to kill this guy Yeshi, because he was convincing people to do Avodah Zarah. He caused many people to abandon the religion. Whoever thinks he's innocent should come to Bezdin. They didn't find, nobody came to Bezdin. On Erev Pesach, Easter, they hung Oisei Ish. But they waited 40 days. So here, our Mishnah says you don't wait 40 days. So how do you resolve that? Can anybody think that Jesus was innocent? The Torah tells you that if you're trying to get people to abandon the religion, we have no Rahmanas on you. Ella says the Gemara Shana Yeshu the Karv Malchus Hava. That the reason why they waited to kill Yashka for 40 days because they were nervous, because he had connections in the government, and they figured the government is going to take revenge. And because of that, therefore, they delayed his time to be killed from the time of the psak. They waited 40 days and they made the announcement, please, somebody try to make him innocent. Tana Rabban, the rabbis taught, Chamisha Timidim Hoyer Loy Liyesha Noitzri. Yashka, Oisei Ish, had 5 students, Matai, Nakai, Netze, Buni, V'toida. And they killed all 5 students. Asula Matai, they brought this guy Matai to be killed. Amalu, Matai Teherig, you're going to kill me because I'm a student of Oisei or Ish. Aksiv, Masai Ave Veroy Pnei Lekim. He brought a little cute pasuk that says, Masai is a good thing. Amar Loy En. Matai Tar, we're going to kill you because it says Masai Yomas Vavit Shmoy. Asuli Nakai, they brought this guy Nakai, and each one of them is going to bring a pasuk corresponding to their names, even though these are funny names, to show that they're innocent. Don't kill me. Amalei Nakai Haksiv Yaharik Haksiv. The pasuk says V'Naki V'Tzadik Al Tarik. My name is Naki, and it says don't kill me. Amalei En Naki Yaharik. The Ksiv the story Garik Naki. I have another pasuk that says we kill the Naki. Asula Netzer, they brought the student Netzer. Oma Netzer, Yahari going to kill Netzer. Ksiv the Netzer Mishrash of Yifra. From his roots, Netzer is going to bring forth fruit. Amrulay in Neitzer Yareg Diksiv Ato Shlachtem Kivruk and Neitzer Desov. So they brought a pasuk that shows that Neitzer is going to be is disgusted by God. Asu lebuni Amr Buni Yareg. You're going to kill Buni. Haksib Bini B'Chayri Yisrael. So Buni is a good name. Amrulay in Buni Yareg Diksiv Anoichi Yareg is Bincha B'Chayrecha. So I'm going to kill your eldest son. This is this week's parsha. Asul Toida. They brought a guy named Toida. Again, he was a student of Jesus. Amru Toida, you're going to kill me. My name is Toda, and it says Mizmar L'Soida. Amru Loi in Toida Yarek Zeveach Toida Yichabdeni. So it says we should slaughter the Toida. So they each one brought a pasuk to try to prove that in the Chumash it says that the Tanakh says I'm innocent. You're not supposed to kill me. And they brought another pasuk that says you are supposed to kill me. Let's do just another 2-3 minutes, and then we'll stop. Amar Rabbi Shua Levi, go in Gimel Amid Beis. Rabbi Shua Levi says, "Kol hazaveach es yitzchoy." A person who's about to do an avera, and he slaughters his evil inclination, umisvada olav, and then does a confession that he sinned by bringing himself into this situation that he was tested. Malal because of the Torah considers is ki'ilu kibdi la kol shbochu b'shnei olamim, b'shnei olamim, as if you honored God in two worlds. Koilam hazeh v'olam habzah. So now, if you slaughter your evil inclination, toida, and then you give a confession, yichabdonani, you honored me with two nuns. You honored me in this world, and in the future world, I'm gonna, I feel honored. The Amar Rabbi Shuba Levi, Bisman Shebeis Hamikdash Kayim, when the Beis Hamikdash was around, Oda Makrav Oila, a person would bring a carbon Oila, Schar Oila B'Yodai, Mincha Schar Mincha B'Yodai. When the Beis Hamikdash was around, we had opportunities to bring carbonas. If it's someone who has low expectations, he just goes to daven and accepts whatever the Eibishter has in store for him. Mala of Akasa, the Torah considers it as if you sacrifice all the carbonas. Shenema zivchei lehim. The ultimate sacrifice to God is ruach nishbara, is a broken heart. You have an expectation, and then God doesn't fulfill that expectation. V'loy oid ela she'ein tfilas nemes. You should know God doesn't hold your prayer as repulsive. If a person has a broken heart, God doesn't hold that repulsive. In fact, God loves that. It's sometimes God knows what's best for you and doesn't respond to your request. Let's just do the Mishnah and then we'll stop, which is another few more lines. So now they're bringing this guy right up to the place where they're going to throw him off and stone him. From 10 amas they were away from the place that they stone him. They sell to the victim, to the person that we're going to kill, his vade, confess. Anybody who's on their deathbed should confess. If you confess, you'll end up going to Olam Haba. We find in Tanakh Achan, who violated the cherem that Yeshua said by Yericho, nobody should take from the spoils. And this Achan violated secretly, and he took from the spoils of war. Sha'amala Yeshua, and then they went to capture Ai, and they were not successful. And Yeshua was so distraught. Why? Somebody violated something. And they found out that it was Achan that violated that, he took a bribe, basically, So, Amala Yeshua said, B'ni, my son, Simna Kaved L'Hashem Elokei Yisrael V'sein Lo Soida. Confess to your sin. Vayan Achan es Achan said to Yeshua, Vayomer Omnam, it's true. Anoichi Chetasiv Chazais, I did this and this. And Menayin Shekipa Vidu, how do you know that Achan got forgiveness? Shnema Vayomer Yeshua Ma'achatani Ya'akcha Hashem B'Yom Hazeh. You clouded us up, and God you clouded, and God clouded you on this day. To this day, you're a cloudy person. But when you get to the next world, you're not going to be cloudy. Now, so we see in the Chumash that before you're being executed, the person would make. We see in the Tanakh that they're supposed to make a confession. If he doesn't know how to make a confession, we say, just say these words. Let my death be a forgiveness on all my averes. So here, we'll end the mission right now. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, and then we'll stop. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, if he feels he's innocent, and he feels that the witnesses were lying, he says, he can still maintain his innocence and saying, my death should be a forgiveness for all my other averas except this one. This one, I'm not admitting guilt. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. This Lahavdil, this Menendez says he's innocent. He's maintaining his innocence. So that's what Rabbi Yehuda says, that the person is allowed to do that. So they told him, everybody's going to do that to hold himself and clean himself and say he's just a victim, he's a patsy. The truth is that we force him to admit his guilt before we execute him. So this is where we'll stop, right by the Gemara, Amen Gimel, Amen Beis.
Sure, thank you.
So the Gemara continues after Men Gimel and Beis. The Gemara begins. Turn Rabbanan. We learned to the Brisa. Ein no losh makasha. B'shah shama Kadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. B'shah shama Kadosh Baruch Hu Yeshua. At the time that Kadosh Baruch Hu said to Yeshua, Chatu Yisrael, the Jews sinned. Amal Lefanav. So Yeshua answered, Rabbeinu Shalom, Master of the world, Mi Chata. Who is the one that sinned, that took from the spoils of Yerichai, even though we all agreed that we're not going to take from the spoils of Yerichai, and whoever is going to take from the spoils of Yerichai is violating this cherem. Amalei, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, V'chi de lotorani, I'm not going to say the word, who it is. Leich hapel gairolos, throw a lottery and you'll figure out who did it. Halach v'hipel gairolos, he filled the lottery, v'nofel hagairol al Achan, and the lottery fell onto Achan. Achan was the one that violated the cherem. Amalei Yeshua, so Yeshua said, B'gairata bayarlai, Achan said to Yeshua, you're trying to solve this case through a lottery? You and Elazar, if I make a lottery between you and Elazar, if I make a girl, it's definitely going to fall on you. In other words, Achan was complaining that your decision of my guilt is based on a lottery. And I'm not going to believe in lotteries. If somebody has to lose the lottery, so it came onto my name. So Yeshua said, I beg you. Al toitzi laz al gairolis. Don't defame lotteries. I'm going to be using a lottery to decide which Shevet will get what part of Israel. So at the time, Yeshua was perfecting the lottery technique, and Yeshua said that my lottery is truthful, and you're the one that violated the cherem, and you were not supposed to take from the spoils. So the Gemara says, Tein Taida, Yeshua told him, confess. So what did he say? Just confess? Yeshua didn't say, I'm going to kill you. Amar Ravina said, Shechudi shachta b'milei. Yeshua bribed Achan with words. Klum nivakish b'cha elahida. All I'm asking from you is a request for a confession. Tein loy Taida v'hi pater. Just give a confession and then we'll let you go. When he heard that, and he said, "An omna, it's true. Anoichi chetasi l'Hashem elokei Yisrael v'chazois." I did exactly what you said. So he admitted to his guilt, and because of that, therefore, Achan was admitted to his guilt, and from here we know that they eventually killed Achan. But we know that somebody who's condemned to death, we request a confession from him, so that once he's going to confess, along with a little tshuva and the kapara of death, he's going to get all his averos wiped away, and he'll be zoicha for olam haba. So even for a condemned man, there's such concern that it's so hard to convict him. And once you even convict him, we're trying to unconvict him. But once we're at his death and we're going to kill him, we want to make sure that he gets into Olam Haba, and that's why we ask him to confess his sins, and therefore he will get his kapara. Okay, we'll stop over here.